Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rafakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who ruled well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of this video is the Amos 8 and 11 squeeze, all right, which goes into a famine of hearing the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. All right, this is Amos 8 and 11. It says, Behold, the days come, said the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread nor a thirst of water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Right, and these words are able to save your soul, right? As the scriptures say, it says, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east, they shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, and shall not find it. Right, because the scriptures say in Isaiah 33 and 6 that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Right, let me grab that. Isaiah 33 and 6, it says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Strength of salvation, the fear of the Lord is his treasure. Right. And because we fear the Lord, we seek the Lord and we try to do what's right. And what's right is found here in these scriptures. All right. Let me grab this other precept that I quoted. I'll look it up. The word which is able to save your soul. So you can understand how dire this situation is for you not to be able to hear the word. Right. Because hearing the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, you get the names, right? You get the name of the Father, right? And there's no other names under heaven where a man, shall be saved. And I'm gonna grab that too, James 1, real quick. James 1 and 21 says, wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, right? Which means what? Rehearse the righteous acts, put on the new man, turn away from your sins. It says, and receive with meekness and the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls, right? So you want salvation. So you have to have this information inside of you, right? Because this is going to be it's just going to keep you stable. All right. What I wanted to grab also was, I believe it's the Acts 4 or Acts 14. And I could be mistaken. I don't know exactly where is that, but let me grab it. All right. Yeah. So Acts 4 and 12, it says, neither is there salvation in matter of fact. Sorry, 10. This is Acts 4 and 10. It says, be it known unto you all and to all the people of Israel that by the name of Yahweh Shai, right, of Nazareth, whom ye crucified, whom Yahweh raised from the dead, even by him doeth this man stand here before you whole. Right. And that time is coming, when certain brothers will get spiritual power. Right. Certain elect brothers will get spiritual power, to take care of the household and defend, protect themselves in the days to come. And we're only going to do that by the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Right. If you're not calling on the names, don't expect no spiritual power. The scriptures talk about getting it expected in. Right. And as we go towards the end, different glories, as the elder brother Yashawamba out of GMS Dallas says, we go from glory to glory. So different glories will be, put on us. Right. And a part of that glory towards the end is spiritual power. But if you're not calling the name, don't expect no spiritual power. All right. But anyway, we're going to be, saving individuals, healing people, going to, the ice camps, about to get beheaded and break the guillotine, with our neck and start mayhem and all of that. But that's through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All right. Acts 4 and 10, be it known unto you all and to all the people of Israel that by the name of Yahweh Shai of Nazareth, whom you crucified, whom Yahweh raised from the dead, even by him doth this man stand here before you whole. This is the stone which was set at naught of you builders, which is become the head of the corner. Right. You have a lot of false prophets, out here telling you not to call on these names. Right. And if you're dealing with a camp that says, don't use the name Yahweh or the name Yahweh Shai, my advice to you is to avoid that camp completely. Right. Because that's the wide gate that's going to lead you to destruction. All right, like I say, GMS is that straight gate, which there's other elect members outside of GMS, of course. But, you know, speaking for myself, once I seen that the setup, pursuant to it is Ezekiel 37, right? The Most High had put men in place, elders, right? And now they, have this camp, which is GMS. I would rather want to be, with like-minded individuals, right? So therefore, I'm basically in GMS right now. So this is like the camp of the prophets, basically, because all these other camps, obviously, they're going off, you know. But anyway, so those the builders are these false prophets, right? That said, no, we're not going to use the name of Yahweh Shai, and that this and the third. Acts 4:11. This is the stone which was set at naught of you builders, which is become the head of the corner. Now there is their salvation again. So this is the word that's able to save your soul that was going to, right? Because we're going to the family of the word. It says, now there is their salvation. Salvation means to be saved from imminent danger, right? And Yahweh Shai is going to be the one that's going to save you. So you're denying the help. That's like, jumping into a pool and you don't know how to swim without any floaties. So you want these floaties? It's like 100 feet deep. It's like, nah, it's great. That's like what you're doing. It says, neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. So we got the names, right? The Most High Yahweh Bashmi Shah has given us understanding and knowledge, right? But he's about to take that away, right? Which is the point I'm going into. And a squeeze is coming. This is Amos 8:11. It says, behold, the days come, said the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shah, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shah. So as you can see, not hearing these words is going to be very detrimental to you. So you should get it while you can get it now. All right, that's why brothers be saying, people not really listening is going in one ear, not the other. When all hell break loose, they're going to be trying to, what was the name? Yeshua, Yohana, something, they're going to be trying to say the name and forget, and they're going to look for the men that were preaching the words. Let me grab that. They shall seek me early, right? It's Proverbs 1, they shall seek me early. Let me see. Let me start at 25. It says, Proverbs 1:25, it says, but ye have set at naught my counsel, and with none of my reproof, right? So you set at naught Yahweh Bashmi Shai, right? And the men that he sent, right? Yahweh Bashmi Shai sent men, prophets, to speak and teach you, right? Hebrews 1 and 1, right? It says, Yahweh Bashmi Shai, right? Yahweh, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, right? So he spoke by the prophets ultimately, and the prophets are back. I can grab Luke 1:70. Luke 1:70 says, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. So the prophets have always been here, and they're now back again speaking to you, right? Yahweh was speaking to you through the prophets, right? That's why Matthew 16 goes into what it says. You're seeking after a sign, there'll be no sign given but the prophet Jonah, right? And we're the prophets, coming back, Lord willing, of that number, right? Because only a prophet will be doing what I'm doing and what the rest of the brothers are doing, right? Spirit of the prophets are subject unto the prophets. All right, so we come back in our lot and do what we've always been doing since the beginning, as it says here. Proverbs 1:25, it says, but you have set at naught all my counsel with none of my reproof. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh is when all hell is breaking loose. The prophets already was sent. They warned you, told you that you need to seek the Lord while he may be found, right? Get this understanding now. But you played around and used up the grace period that you had, and then you're going to seek him early. It says, when your fear cometh as desolation and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. See, so some of y'all probably got the names, just saying the name, whatever the case may be. Like take for instance, example, Bishop Nathaniel, who knows the names, When he's sick, he's able to call on the names, right? But he teaches his congregation not to call on the names, so he's an individual that could, attempt to try to call on the name because he know the name, right? When all hell is breaking loose, and the Most High is not going to listen to him, right? Verse 28 it says, "Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me, for that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai. Said they would none of my counsel. They despise all my reproof. Right. Therefore shall they eat the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices." So the Most High gonna lead you to it, right? Amos 8 and 11 says, "Behold, the days come, said the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro and seek the word of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai, shall not find it. In that day shall the fair virgin and young men faint for thirst, they that swear by the sin of Samaria, and say that God Odan liveth, and the men of Bathsheba liveth, even they shall fall and never rise again." You witchcrafters are, going into idolatry. You got these different idols, and you think they can save you. Even you also will fall. All right. So I got this clip. It's like 3 minutes, and he's going into basically UK setting up a situation where you have to prove the age to be on social media and things like that. And this is the squeeze too, because the children is cutting off the children, as they're learning. But it's over with, and if these children, are in the household of the elect, then they're already, getting an understanding they need to get, because you have the highways and the byways of the great web, right? And children, these children are able to go on these social medias and hear the word, whatever the case may be. But so I feel like that's a cutoff for the children too, not to get understanding and see certain things. And these devils are trying to, say, oh, it's for this and it's for that. But meanwhile, you got these PDF files running the government, right? And the LGBTQ, parades, and the drag queens, or shit, drag kings, which that's supposed to stand for, the men, because it is men. But I guess drag queens, or whatever the case may be, all over, But anyway, we see the squeeze and we're warning.
Banning under 16s on social media has been something that they've been going on about for a while now here in the UK, isn't it? Other countries have done it, Australia, the European countries, but the UK still hasn't quite done it. But lots of talk about it, and the update is that apparently it is happening within the next couple of weeks. What it looks like, how it's going to operate, how it affects everybody, because of course, when it comes to something like this, well, you need to prove that you're over 16 to use social media, don't you? So, I wonder what that will would require. Yeah, would that be some type of digital ID? Well, maybe. Oh.
All right, so this is their system that they're setting up. All right, the New World Order, the image of the beast, right? And the image of the beast consists of the New World Order, right, which consists of the digital age, right? What is it, the fourth or the fifth industrial revolution, right? Where everything is going digital, and as you can see, that's exactly where the world is headed, right? Even though it's going to be a short-lived, right, digital system, because the Yahweh Shai is returning to destroy this shit. This is Revelation 13:13. It says, "And he, the wicked, doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men." Right? Who dropped the atomic bombs? Who dropped that first? The Americans, right? The Edomites here in America dropped the atomic bombs on Japan. That's the fire that came down inside of men, and it was a great wonder. That's why nobody wanted to fight America, right? But now, guess what? They all have that fire, right? Revelation 13:14, it says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles," which it goes back to these Rothschilds, because America is just the sword of the Rothschilds, right? Who own all the money, therefore they control the people, says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. So going back to the ancient Roman Empire, right? But what he's bringing is a digital system and a digital, mark where he will be able to control and enslave the whole of population. All right. And he's making these other nations follow along with his plans, right? In whichever manner he's deceiving them to say this is a good idea or a good plan. All right, because everyone will get this digital device into their body. All right, Revelation 13 and 14. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Right. So these devils control and run everything. Right. So, and it goes back to, you can even, look up how the petrodollar was formed. If you go back to the Titanic and how it sunk and who was on it, basically people that was against, the system they put up, during the Bretton Woods Agreement to get the petrodollar started and all of that, or, and even the banking system and all of that, basically the individuals, he allowed those individuals to get on the Titanic and it sunk. And this information is known, just like I know it, but that's the type of power this devil got. You look at CK and JFK and things like that, people that was against what this devil was doing, which they're devils themselves, but they're divided, as Matthew 12, goes into. All right. There's division among these people. And when the division happens, then the people at the top just get rid of the people at the bottom, in different ways and whatnot. Revelations 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Again, going back to Titanic, right, and other things, JFK, and CK, right? These devils control, the world. They control the money. If anyone speaks out against them, that's not the Lord's prophet, right, or the elect, they can get rid of them basically. Take the lady Anna, like Kasparian or something. What is it? Candace Owens. Even them themselves kind of spoke about how they felt like pressure, coming from different sources. People wanted to get their husbands fired from their jobs and different things like that. Right? That's the type of power this devil do. But when people have a clout or a following, and just I guess it's harder for them, because I think about certain things, how the show's not clipped. But take, for example, the one dude, I believe on Anna Kasparian, the other guy, I don't know his name. He got banned from the UK, or whatever case may be. One of them things like that. The powers that be don't want these people to be speaking how they're speaking. And that goes into a feminine word coming too, right? Because ultimately it goes into these like the internet, and the YouTubes and the podcasts and things like that. It's going to be outlawed to speak. That's why they got banned from these different locations. So anyway, they're setting up this system and they're controlling the world, right? And everyone is going along with the plan. All right. It says in Revelations 13 and 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as will not worship the image of the beast, right, should be killed. Right. And so that's been happening, with the CK, the JFKs, right? Because this has been the whole plan. That's why you get at the top right here, describing them 13 and 11. Revelation 13:11 says, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right. This represents America. And the two horns represent the different parties, right? The different presidents, Republican and Democratic. But ultimately, everything that these two parties have done has led us to this, where we're at right now. Nothing has really changed. Nothing got better. It only got worse because the devils are in control. They're going back to the Rothschilds. All right, excuse me. So different individuals had to be clipped, to achieve their goals. I mean, take a look at these different scientists now that's missing. Like, what the hell's up with that? We know, obviously, they had information that these elites didn't want getting out, that they were just exposed to the world, but we won't know until we get to the kingdom of heaven, figure it out, go through it, whatever the case may be. And if you don't, go into the system, then you won't be able to buy or sell as it goes into the next two scriptures, right? You won't be able to buy goods or sell goods, right? To take care of yourself and things like that. Revelation 13 and 16, and he called up all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? So this goes into the digital device that's going to be implemented into your skin, right? But it goes into the system that's been set up, which is the New World Order, right? It says then that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the name of his name. Right, here is wisdom, let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for the number of a man is number 606 goes to 666, right? And all of this just entails, taking that micro C hip, right, which is a testing, right, ultimately for the world. All right.
Yeah, but apparently it's happening, and here's another update. As Starmer has been on the podium, bigging up the future of the country with technology and AI.
I'm calling on tech companies operating in this country to introduce device controls that prevent children from sending and receiving sexually explicit images, because this is not an impossible challenge. These are some of the most innovative companies in the world, and I believe they can solve it. But if they choose not to, then we will act and we will change the law. Because when it comes to the safety of our children,
so I'm going to go ahead and grab the scripture, but take, for instance, here in the Israelite community, we got these two individuals, Deacon Hakah and his wife, right? And now his wife is, speaking about certain things, and the Israelite community is upset, at Deacon for the things that his wife is saying, and really because he's neglecting his children, So, they have the right to be upset, but this is how they play on the emotions. These devils right here do not care. All right, again, it goes into an agenda and a plan. The amount of death that these devils have caused, with COVID and the vaccine, the juice jabs and all these different things, they don't care. Meanwhile, these are the same people committing the genocides over there, in Gaza. All right, wiping out the population. I think they killed like 68,000 people over there in Gaza and still counting. Was all those soldiers? They told themselves already. The 7 wars. So they just the wicked. Psalms 55 and 20 says, he had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, because, they're trying to say, well, it's to protect the children. Meanwhile, Jared Kushner is trying to buy another Epstein Island, right, with tunnels underneath it, right? Because they want to control the people, right? And they're going to try to come with subtle words,
Standing by is not an option.
Yeah. Always about the safety of the children, isn't it? Yeah. So it's up to the tech companies, because they have the tools, they have the means. You know what they could also do? They could really clamp down on that misinformation and disinformation as well, couldn't they? And eventually, when there's a data center around every corner, they'll certainly have the power to do all this without question. Why? Because your life will be so attached to the digital prison and so controlled by it all that it's for the safety.
Yeah, exactly. Like the guy's saying, the important thing to know that this system that's been set up is the MOTB system, right? That's going to allow these devils to give you that mark and to put it inside of you. I said a lot that the data centers don't matter, because from my understanding, they already have the data on us, and it's only the chip. But Maybe they do play a significance. It's like, with the system. But the scriptures say, when he's about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall rain upon him. All right. So I say maybe they don't complete the data centers fully. It can't be that needed. Right. Job 20 and 23 says, when he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So he's trying to build these data centers, get everything ready to issue the chip, right? Which is already here, and people already have it, and it's already doing what it needs to do, which is what the scriptures say, buy and sell. Him trying to control and track motherfuckers and all that's a wet dream. All right. He ain't got time, as the scriptures say in Revelations 12 and 12, he's gonna come out with great wrath because it was short time. So we'll just see. But the important thing again is that this system itself is the MOTB system, right? And for you to know to not take that micro C hit.
So yeah, I think as many of us have predicted in the very near future, this banning of social media really, requires everybody to have some form of ID and proof eventually, won't it? And with stuff like this combined to it in data centers, well, it's all taking shape for a minute. Ta-ta.
All right. And I just wanted to grab this word gradualism because that's how they're doing it, and they have been doing it that way. Even going back to the the CVID situation, right? Social distance and all of that, being at home, buying things from home, and all of that. Even a little bit of martial law type situations where you couldn't go out certain times of the day or whatever the case may be. You can't really be out like that unless you was like a essential worker or something. Gradualism is the principle or policy that change comes about through a series of small incremental steps over an extended period, rather than by sudden large scale or violent shifts, which that's what it's going to come to. They don't have time. They run out of time. Says the concept applies across several major fields, most notably biology, geology, and politics. So that's what they're doing, gradualism. Even just them speaking on it, gradually saying, hey, look, we're going to do this system. Then the people get disgruntled about it, whatever, they wait a few, hey, look, the system is coming, and then one day it's just there. All right. So I just wanted to, blow the horn on that. Lord willing, you edify from the lesson, Shalom, to the hopeful elect, which consists of men, women, and children, Shalom.